So I would like to talk about death.
Death. I bet you're dying to talk about this.
I am dying to talk about this. So somebody emailed one of the free members, and he was saying that his father has been trying to die for a long period of time, and he just can't seem to let go. And so this man was asking, how can I help my father leave?
Yeah. Death is a really interesting topic. It's, to a great extent, not what most people think it is. But in this case, it's a very interesting thing because people are trying to get out of their body. But to get out of your body, you need a level of energy, your energy, to spark you out of the body. And what happens in life, being really simple, is we give our energy away. It's I love you, and so we give energy away. You love me, you get in my space, I get in your space. But more specifically, it's an aspect of why did she do that? And he shouldn't have done that. And I think this, and you're bad, and this is good. It actually is very interesting. It's like throwing little darts with strings on them that says, well, you should do this. Mm-hmm. And somebody throws a dart back at me and says, you're not a nice person. And these exchanges of energy go back and forth all the time, all through our life. But when you get to the point of dying, you need a certain amount of energy in your space. And so a lot of times people try to get out of the body, but they are weighed down
by all these little darts,
by these energies of other people, and can't get out. And they're weighed down because they don't have enough of their own life force in their body to make a decision to step out of the body. And so one of the things that a person can do, and it's actually really important, is call your energy back from that person. Now this gets complicated because people say, but I love them and I don't want them to go. Well, it's the I don't want them to go that's in their space that becomes the weight that they can't get out of.
Yeah.
So there is a set of things that you can do to begin to step out of this. It's not complicated like anything else. If you don't know the answer, the question becomes very complicated. But once you know the answer, it's rather straightforward and simple to deal with. I'll talk about that in that next section we talk about.
Okay, so in other words, this man can do the work on his end, can make separations from his dad, even though his dad doesn't know anything about tools or how to make separations. And that will still work to help his dad let go.
Oh, absolutely. It's beginning to understand what it's all about. Once you understand how death works in this context, giving somebody room and even helping them out of their body is something that becomes very accessible to a person in that space of assisting.
Oh, good. That's helpful. So if I have someone in my life who's dying and they're struggling and they can't seem to leave the body, what can I do on my side to assist them?
Well, you can get out of their space. Now, that's a funny comment to make because most people don't recognize space or being in somebody else's space from this context. And it's my mother, father, wife, husband, so you're telling me to get out of their space. And yes, actually yes. So what happens is, I love you so much. Well, most people don't understand from an energy standpoint that a lot of times your feeling is different than your energy in a way. And so we try to project that feeling over into another person. Oh, I love you. Well, we put our energy over there. The reality is, I love you is over here, not over there. But once we start giving, and then we get angry after a while, well, you did this. And so all of those variations of energy, we throw at people, we put in people, we give to people, but it's our energy in their space. And so when somebody's right at that point of dying, they're trying to get out of the body, but all of everyone else's energy in their space is a weight. So as an individual, understanding that you loving them, in fact, in this case, isn't helping them. So it's not about stop loving them, it's simply about call your energy back. And in Mastering Alchemy, there's a tool. You just create a rose and be very simple, give the direction to the rose to start collecting you up. call you back. It doesn't mean I don't love you, I don't care about you. It simply means I'm getting out of your space so you can begin to step out of the body.
So Jim, how does forgiveness fit in with a person's process of dying?
Well, forgiveness is a very interesting word in kind of in our walking around three-dimensional space where most people walk. This concept of forgiving relates to guilt and blame to a great extent also. So people feel guilty or people blame somebody and they hold on to this concept of they're wrong or I'm wrong. And then the next question is, if I could forgive myself, I would be freed up of this. So what happens though is it's hard to consider forgiving yourself is something that many people have a challenge with. And so when it comes to dying, again, you need a certain amount of energy of your own in your body to create the spark that allows you to leave. And so when you hold on to words like guilt and blame and can't forgive yourself, you've got this turmoil of energy going on in the body that begins to be inconclusive. And so when you watch somebody just lying there for a long time, they are trying to get out of the body, but they're really in their consciousness and very much in their unconsciousness, wrapped up in, I didn't do it right, or if
Guilt.
they had only, or my life would have been better if she would have married that one instead. And so you got all this motion going on, of which most of it has absolutely nothing to do with your reality, other than you're more or less carrying these rocks in your backpack. And so this question of forgiveness begins to come up very much right at the last minutes of death. And how that basically happens is you're now starting to leave the body. The soul's calling you out of the body. And as you begin to do that, many of the non-essential, unimportant little moments in life start to evaporate, disappear. You start to become more focused on you, how you had your life, what's going on in a way. But even more, you begin to step into these layers of the higher realms where you go home. And in those layers, forgiveness and blame and guilt and judgment, they mean nothing. They don't even play out in that space. So the person starts to leave the body well before they look like they're actually at the moment of death. And they begin to get out and they begin to see, let's call it heaven. And they begin to start to have the beauty of heaven, the smile, the wonderfulness of heaven. And it's so exciting, that energy, that paying attention to my ills and my I didn't forgive and I was a bad person, this all falls away and that person starts to leave the body more and more. But many times it's like, I can't go until I am complete, or I can forgive them, or they come and say they forgive me. That's where you watch somebody just lying there, lingering and lingering and lingering. And so, again, that tool of creating a rose in your mental image making and starting to call your energy back from that person's space. You don't know what it is necessarily sitting in their space, but if you are one of those burdens in their space, and if you are sitting there saying, I should forgive them and I want him to forgive me, it's okay. What happens is you're an anchor to not allowing them to get alive. So it's really call your energy back. Give back to them what is theirs. Take back what is yours. Forgive them for their trespasses, as it said, and forgive me for mine. And you create this separation to where they can begin to choose how they wish to move on.
Very good. So I understand the importance of making separations from someone as they're dying, and I can do that. But what about my sisters and his wife and his friends and everybody else that has these hooks in him?
Yeah, that's a challenge. And it's kind of called life. Your obligation is about you, period. You can't fix, heal, change, direct another person if they don't want to be in that changed space. Same thing with the person dying. You can't fix them. what you can do is remove your energy from their space, continue loving them if that's, your issue, but you're not unloving them, you're not taking away from them, you're not withdrawing from them, you're not abandoning them in that case. You are simply calling back what is yours. But in regard to other people, you can communicate that to other people, that you're in their space and that's causing them challenge. Mostly people don't understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But especially for people who are beginning on this journey and starting to understand what we're talking about here, starting to recognize that you can change your own life in lots of different ways. As you begin to become more conscious of being conscious in your own evolution, the ability to then communicate that to the person who's dying allows them to begin to make an understanding in their space. See, if a person is dying, you're dying, and you understand that giving back to others their energy and taking back yours
Mm-hmm.
is the doorway to stepping out of the body comfortably, then you can choose to give back to them what is theirs. But trying to teach somebody else that or do it for them doesn't work that way. You can't do this for them. You can't help them die by staying in their space or wishing everybody else
would get out of their
space. It's really where you can educate the person dying or where you, for yourself you can understand how this is working. There is other opportunities here where you, as you begin to understand these higher dimensions and your relationship with the higher dimensions, the ability to call in the angels of death at that point, which people hear as a bad thing, it's actually quite spectacular. They're there to help that person let go of their burdens, their guilts, their blames, their judgments, their bad deeds, if you would, and really forgive themselves to the place, call back their energies, to assist them stepping out of the body. They're very, very important to dying, and yet most people can't have enough awareness to simply connect with those angels of death and have that experience of these higher realms and the beauty that's there, and simply step out of the body. So it's a very involved thing. On one hand, death is very simple on the other.
Nice. Nice.